the Browcast presents Antenna Heads,
covering the best in TV from today and yesteryear. Now your hosts, Brayan, Alex, and Cristina.
Hello and welcome to episode 72 of Antenna Heads, where we cover the best of TV from today and yesteryear. I'm your host, Michael Casas, joined by my other hosts, Cristina Arujo and Alex Arujo.
What's up, Brayan?
And there's a special guest host today.
Yeah, gonna hear a lot from him.
Michael Casas.
How you doing, Mike? Good?
He's off mic.
Yeah, he's off himself. How you doing? Been a big week. Haven't had a lot of stuff going on, but it's still a big week.
It's a huge week.
Christmas is quickly approaching. End of the year also, so not a lot of.
What are you doing with your hands?
I'm dancing. I'm getting giggy with it, as the kids say.
Only I may dance.
As I said, end of the year is approaching quickly, so not a lot of debuts, but there was one that Chris really, really wanted to check out. She saw an ad for it and was like, oh my god, I hope we can watch it. And I'm like, okay. And if she ever says it again, I'm going to hang myself.
I'm so sorry for that.
But yes, at the end of the episode, we also have our best of the year shows. We're doing the best of this week and then the worst of next week. So our top 3 favorite shows that debuted in 2014 this week. It's going to be a very interesting show. Chris, you were really excited about Librarians.
I was. I love Librarians.
Just in general?
Just in general.
We have them in the family.
They're great people. And
quite a lineage of them, too.
And they can dance well, because, you know.
No, Al. No one sees the dance move.
Everyone calls the shopping cart, but it'll always be the librarian to me.
Always.
Yes. So clearly, a lot of librarians have a lot of love around here. Chris, why were you so damned excited about this show?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Librarians in general. And I saw the commercial. I think it was on Hulu or something
like that.
And, I don't know, it just seemed really cool, the idea of like a League of Librarians. It sort of seemed like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but something I wouldn't fall asleep through. And,
boy, was that wrong.
Supernatural and, you know, all that goodness. It seemed, well, from the commercial, they also showed like these weird portals that they could travel through. So it seemed a little bit like, Stargate-y and I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole group of things that they brought together for it seemed interesting. But I was definitely wrong about that. And, it was not, this might have been of this season. I feel like this was the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, you might be hearing more about this next week when we do our worst
No,
stuff.
I don't think it was that
Oh,
bad.
it's in contention.
I mean, no.
Of the last 3 months, this might be the worst show to premiere.
Yeah, but we're talking about the whole year. So
I know, but
that's different.
still.
I mean,
basically, as Chris said, this show it's actually based off of a set of TNT movies.
TV movies.
Yeah.
Right?
Starring,
Come on, you got it.
Oh, Noah Wiley. Who's
stars
also
in
in this. But he's only on this for the first 2 episodes, and then he basically disappears.
are you serious?
Yes. Because the idea is he's the librarian who will be traveling around, and while he is, Rebecca Romijn and these new interim librarians are solving librarian-based issues.
Well, he's the librarian. They're the librarians.
Thank you for clearing that up.
I didn't even know why they made this a
show?
A show. I mean, I guess they had some success on the TV movies.
Yeah, those movies were actually quite a long time ago. I think the latest one was like in 2008.
I never even knew they existed.
Before this, neither did I, but basically
TNT.
they go around collecting artifacts that possess some sort of magical power and storing them in an underground bunker underneath a city's library. Is it the New York City Library?
No,
they said the
not
Metropolitan Library. I think it actually takes place in Oregon, in Portland. So it might be the Portland Library.
Yeah, Portland.
Anyway, I think of this as like a cross between like Men in Black and National Treasure, something like that, where they're hunting for these artifacts. There's a secret organization. The issue with that is both of those movies were a lot better thought out and better written than this.
Also better acted.
Yes. We'll get to Rebecca Romijn in a minute, but my God, did I never want to see her face again after this episode.
I was really hoping for a kind of a show that had a little bit of what Chris mentioned, with a little action adventure, some like a genre show, but that was also family friendly, in the same kind of tone as National Treasure. Could be like an older family. It's not like for Nathaniel, but like something you could watch together.
Mm-hmm.
This sucked so bad
from the very beginning,
and I really wanted it to succeed, because I think TV needs more of this kind of action adventure stuff. And the plot kind of could write itself, because you could go after any crazy mystical element from either, fictitious history or real history.
And you can touch on a lot of different cultures and things like that. There are potential positives. The issue is the episode opens with Rebecca Romijn chasing down some terrorists.
Oh my God.
And she takes a jump that would have likely shattered her knees. She drops like 15 feet.
She's Mystique, though.
I don't know what she is.
No, she's definitely not Mystique.
There's no Mystique about her. So she's chasing these terrorists, and eventually she comes across the librarian, played by Noah Wiley, and he just starts doing this weird, like, Rain Man thing where he knows all this information and is able to disarm a bomb, and is also unlocking some weird Catholic safe.
Don't mind me. You're obviously busy. I'm just here for the Opal of Samara.
The Opal of...
Samara. Teutonic Knights recovered it from Jerusalem during the Third Crusade. It was stolen by the Nazi occult division and stored here. Forgotten after the war, it is still... locked in the original magical safe. Which makes sense, as it is dangerous and valuable. Dangerous. Valuable. It summons demons, but it doesn't control them, and that is demonologists for you. Careless, homicidal. Another common pair.
Pair of...
Adjectives. They travel in pairs. Dangerous, valuable, careless, homicidal. Do try to keep up. Ah! I apparently set off a trap, which I have about 3 minutes to disarm before the Opal transforms every corpse in a 100-mile radius into flesh-eating zombies.
Make it stop.
Well, I'm trying. This is very complex alphanumerical code based on Latin Bible verses. And it would be a lot easier to concentrate if someone were to turn off that beeping nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to describe it as.
I like it.
Right? It's good.
The Catholic safe.
Good stuff. Show title. And of course, one thing that really bugged me was there is no sense of timing in this show. I mean, Rebecca Romijn finds out that this whole order exists as she eventually receives a note telling her that she's been selected to be essentially the bodyguard of the librarian. You love me recounting this, don't you?
It's just like you're saying it, and there's so many things you're going over, so many things that I'm gonna have to go back to. Like, it's just
I'm just giving like
so
general
many
plot,
things.
because there's a lot of little innocuous things that I love. So she eventually finds out she has to be the bodyguard for the librarian. And she just accepts all of this immediately. That magic exists, that there's a secret order of librarians.
And that's just upon seeing the library itself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, it looks like a pretty awesome library, but it just looks like a library. Like,
but I mean, like, there's no moment in this 48-minute show or whatever it is where she has a moment of internal thought like, this is insane. How can all of this be happening?
Yeah.
And it's just really poorly thought out character progression, because in a good, well-written show, there would be times where the character has to come to this realization that all this stuff is now in their world.
there was none of that.
No,
Not
I
at
mean,
all.
this show has maybe the worst pacing I've seen in the fall season. There's a scene much later on where the librarian is... actually, the library gets invaded by Cobra, or whatever they're called. The Serpent's Tongue.
Someone
Serpent
has-
Brotherhood.
The
something.
Serpent Brotherhood. By the way, I love...
As soon as I heard it,
Yeah.
I was just like, no.
I love lazy
Right
cliches
there,
as much as the
stop.
next guy. But for the love of God, you're writing a show for a major cable network. Maybe put a little more thought into your villains, your evil villain corporation or whatever it is, I mean, of course.
Should you recognize the guy who was the head evil guy? He's
no.
Dr. Forget what his last name is, but the doctor from Orphan Black.
Oh, Leaky.
Yeah.
I was confused because I thought Halle Berry was on the show. And then I said, no, that can't be her. Then I heard a really bad British accent. I said, oh, maybe it is her.
I think you're referring to Leslie Ann Brandt, who plays the second in command to the main villain.
She looks nothing like her.
Her
at
name.
All.
She doesn't.
She looks more like the.
She looks like Filipino or something.
She looks more like the paramedic from Chicago Fire. Like Dawson.
A little. They have that similar
and they have
complexion.
the same haircut.
There was a scene that she was getting out of the helicopter looked like Halle Berry a little bit. I didn't say it was.
The character's name is Lamia.
Yeah.
For
Lamia tattoo.
For let me tell you how terrible the show is. No,
okay.
But she walks up to one of the librarians in training at a bar before they all come together. This is the most contrived plot, so if I jump around, forgive me. And I immediately go, oh, she's got to be the villain because she's got an English accent, because that's the kind of cliche this show would rely on.
I knew she was the villain the second she walked in because...
Was it her crop top?
They're all checking her out and she's wearing all black at like a rodeo bar and...
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't belong there. Like, it's like, okay, villain, because the way it's progressing, it's obvious that she's the villain.
But later on, there's a scene where she's like invading.
And then she's like an apocalypse tattoo.
Yeah.
Duh.
That's true. The snake, serpent's head. What was it? Serpent Brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
Terrible name. But eventually, the Serpent Brotherhood invade the library to retrieve
King Arthur's
crown.
Yeah,
which kind of looks like a princess.
It was
crown.
a pretty shoddy crown.
It's a queen's crown.
Well, in all honesty, it was probably made.
It was a woman's crown,
hundreds of years ago.
For a woman.
For a woman. King Arthur likes to dress up.
King Arthur was gay.
But what annoyed me was there's a scene where like.
What annoyed you? I'm sorry. There's so many things.
Cut. There's a scene where they invade. And the librarian's like, okay, where's Excalibur, which he has and fights with? I'm going to go fight them, right?
Uh-huh.
So he goes to fight them. And the very next scene, it cuts directly to a scene where Lamia is holding the redhead hostage. Like, what happened in that space?
Yeah.
This show has the worst pacing. I was furious over and over again just at how poorly paced this show is.
It's true.
Cal, come! Is that a flying sword?
Excalibur.
Of course it is.
My old friend.
Can't argue with that. Let's go.
It's got a flying sword. Don't worry, Cassandra.
I was hoping for a rematch.
Well, I brought a sword this time.
Chris, why didn't you like this show?
All right, so let's start from the very beginning. You guys want to pick through?
Sure, let's go through.
This is probably the easiest way for me to do this. Okay.
All right.
So from the very beginning, there was no way in hell anyone would ever believe that Rebecca Romijn was a counter-terrorist
I know.
operative. She doesn't look like, it's not because she's a woman, not because she's gorgeous, none of that. Literally the way she carries herself, she's not shooting straight. She's like pointing her gun in like weird directions when she shoots.
It's like Pamela Anderson on VIP.
I kind of believe that more. I'm sorry. It was really bad.
That was a better show.
And then,
but it doesn't matter. Actually, no, that was a better show overall.
She's got
That's what I meant.
the two terrorists at gunpoint. Then the other guy, the librarian, appears, and they all get super distracted, and they're just watching him do whatever he's doing. They completely forget about what's going on. I'm sorry. That is not counter-operative training.
That was more of...
There's a freaking nuclear bomb.
Yes.
Which there's no way that was a nuclear bomb. No, none of that.
It could be, but here's the main issue. I really don't like the character of the librarian where he's this... I don't want to say elitist, but he has this cockiness to him where he's like, I know everything. Your issues are minute compared to my issues.
They're trying to emulate the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just,
I don't like
librarian.
It's not good.
I don't like it, and I don't like the characters of the librarians in training either. I mean, they're all cliches in one way or another. You have the cowboy, you have Ezekiel Jones.
That was an awful fucking name.
Yes,
Awful.
that's the kind of character I think of when I think of Ezekiel Jones.
He turned down the Sorbonne and Oxford.
No, that was the cowboy.
Yeah, the cowboy.
Ezekiel Jones is the Asian Australian.
No, the Asian Australian guy. But I wanted to tell you about the cowboy guy. Was this backwards cowboy, but he's super smart, has an IQ off the charts.
I like that.
It's just a cliche.
It's
like, let's pick out well-recognized character templates and just throw them in and make them librarians.
And they picked, what's her name's character from the guild? And
Cassandra?
Let's make her...
She's not like her at all. I've seen the guild. She has red hair and she's smart. So obviously they're the same person.
Obviously.
I think we should also touch on the graphics of the show in that they are shit.
Wait, there's one more thing I want to say about Rebecca Romijn. So I'm guessing some of you were thinking, she played Mystique. She was badass as Mystique. But then I thought about it and I was like, she never really spoke as Mystique ever.
Oh no, she didn't.
So maybe that's why she can only be a badass if she doesn't talk.
I don't see what John Stamos saw in her. I have to say it.
Wow.
I have to say it. She's not that great. No offense. You're not that great.
And that suit, man. That suit pisses me off. I'm like, why aren't you wearing like clothes you can move in?
I love how they cut from somewhere in like Germany when they go to the museum to like a
Munich.
forest somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're all wearing the same clothing.
It's in
Well, would you wear that suit if you're going into the forest?
They literally just went straight there.
It's insane. Another ridiculous
Special effects.
Special effects. Clearly this show has the budget of like some sort of porno company in terms of special effects. They have a green screen.
And then they just,
well, it reminds me, I mean, I know I'm going to catch flack for it, but did you guys watch Sanctuary?
No.
One of the reasons I stopped watching that was because everything was done on a green screen.
Yeah.
Or Warehouse, well, not so
Stargate, I almost said Stargate SVU. Stargate Atlantis was like that sometimes, where like things were like so obviously a green screen. You just, whenever it was something massive like that, it had to be done on green screen.
Case in point, the initial shot of the underground library.
Yeah.
Where
even
it's just the worst. It looks like a maze, and then they zoom into Rebecca Romijn and Noah Wiley, and it's like you are clearly standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
There is no depth to any of that.
And then the worst was the sword the
electrical controlling of Excalibur.
On. It looked. I mean, there were better special effects on Empire Strikes Back. Or actually,
I didn't even want him to get the sword. I'm just like, he's not going to get it. Do you not understand? It's King Arthur's crown.
And
it's Excalibur.
There's also the point where Lamia eventually gets King Arthur's crown and puts it on, and like Roy G. Bigelow shows up because her eyes turn blue for some reason.
Because now she has the power of King Arthur.
Who is known for
the power of Merlin.
Who is known for his blue eyes as much as his homosexuality. Yeah.
Whoa.
Not a good show.
It was just really, really campy. Like, if it had been a serious show, I think I would have enjoyed it more because it took everything so lightly, and but
at the same time, I almost feel like they don't really realize that they're doing a campy show. They're just doing a show really badly. Like, it feels like one of those B-level sci-fi movies, where they're trying to tell a story. They just have a very little budget and very bad writers, so shit is what ends up being. But this is exactly the same thing.
It's kind of why I feel like to a certain extent, they're definitely trying to go for a Doctor Who sort of effect. I mean, Doctor Who can be extremely campy, but I think there are enough serious moments. Like, even when the special effects are, a little wonky, there are serious moments that balance that out. You have, like, actual emotions. You have, a lot of it, you have very good acting. This is just all around not that.
I mean, there's just no thought into this. They're in the underground library, and there are skylights. Like, what sense is that? It's physically impossible.
What are you talking about?
There's shots where they're in the underground library, and that library has skylights. It makes no sense.
What do you mean skylights?
They have, like, panes of glass on the ceiling with light coming through.
It's frickin' magic.
Of course. See, and that's why they established that magic exists in this universe so quickly. It's because our shitty writing will be covered up with magic.
The other thing, do you know what I almost died over? Okay. When Rebecca Romijn gets the letter from the library, first of all, it's a blank sheet of paper that starts writing itself.
Yeah.
No hint. And she goes, library. The librarian. Like, it's the biggest realization ever.
That is definitely going in.
You have been selected to interview for a prestigious position with the Metropolitan Public Library.
Library. Librarian.
I literally wrote, "You must be a detective."
I was like, why would that be a big realization?
Also, Rebecca Romijn, she doesn't have a lot of stuff in her apartment, but she does have kettlebells. I noticed those just sitting off
because that's all
into
she
the
does
corner.
when she's there. She just works out, takes a sip of that water bottle in her fridge.
That's right. And then puts together clues like library and librarian.
Like I said though, whereas you guys didn't like the other librarians, I actually kind of did like them. I thought they weren't as obvious as you could have in terms of, I can't even think of the term.
Well, they didn't wear glasses.
No, she means just in terms of like character templates.
Yeah, like you know how Scorpion, it was like extremely obvious. Like, well, you've got the fat guy who's good at chess. Is it Scorpion, right?
Yeah, with the singer. What's
on
her
CBS.
name?
Yeah,
Catherine McPhee.
Yeah.
You've got the girl.
Make it to the list this week.
You have those like random character templates.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were, at least they tried to put an interesting spin on them. Like you have, she's not just the smart redhead from the guild. Like she literally has a tumor and has these issues where
and she likes grapes.
I think we all love grapes.
She used to like grapes.
Until her tumor made
I
her
really
stop.
liked the cowboy. I thought he was more,
he reminded
out of
me,
the three, I liked Ezekiel the least.
He reminded
he's
me,
absolutely the worst.
The cowboy reminded me of the cowboy guy from like Shaolin Showdown.
Lesson 2, the fierce cheetah method of fighting. I defy you to catch me. Witness the speed of a cheetah. I am dazzling and confounding you. And now I strike. Hey!
Hope I haven't mucked up your lesson too much, little fella. Just can't resist a challenge.
Yeah, the cowboy just lassoed the little guy.
Where all it was is like, he's the country bumpkin. That's his character.
But he's not.
Yeah,
But he's not at all.
Oh, you mean like when he's God, when he's cutting the metal plate with a cucumber and
that was fucking stupid.
That
wasn't his fault.
Shit.
That wasn't his fault.
That was dumb.
That was the librarian's fault.
Let's build this torch with a cucumber and
prosciutto.
Gosh,
dumb
idiots!
Ruin that sandwich.
Like this is as probably as high a level that Rebecca Romijn will ever reach in terms of television shows again. I don't see her like doing anything really successful. I see her sticking to like these sci-fi original series or sci-fi movies.
Well, because those are the people that want to see her.
Or TNT movies.
But I feel like she was pretty awful on Ugly Betty too.
And she was on for 33 episodes.
She was
not good.
No,
not good.
Not good.
Chris, what's your score on this?
I gave it a 2.5. I wanted to give it a 2.25.
Whoa.
Okay. The reason I gave it that, you guys think it was too high?
Vastly too high.
The reason I gave it that was because I liked the original idea.
Uh-huh.
I did think it was a good idea. I did like the other librarians. I thought the writing was shit and the acting was pretty crappy. But I think the fact that I liked the other librarians, like I was going to watch the second part.
Uh-huh.
Because I wanted to see if it went somewhere. Because it was just like a pile of randomness.
Yeah, we only watched the first half of a 2-part premiere, in part to save our sanity.
I felt jealous because Noah Wiley was sitting there dying. At least he got out of it.
I mean, the writing is the main issue here. I mean, as bad as the acting is, the writing is on like par with Three Ninjas. It's just like, okay, and then the bad guys come in, and Rebecca Romijn beats them all up, and then the librarian has a sword.
Full wine bottles at a bar.
And the best part is like the henchmen all like wear black masks. So they literally are like the Putty Patrol. Like they have no distinguishing characteristics. It's just like beat these guys up.
It's
If they had at least
what was it,
had
Jackie Chan
serpent
Adventures?
tattoos.
What were they called?
Dark Hand.
Yeah, that's what it is.
At least if they all had like snake tattoos, it would have been fine.
Oh yeah, because they look like putties. Just right on their chest where you hit them and they disappear.
That would have actually magic.
Yeah. See? Why aren't the librarians taking cues from Power Rangers?
And the worst thing is that a lot of like actors that were at one point good that I enjoy are on the show. Bob Newhart, of course, who appears in a mirror because he's dead. Also, John Larroquette starts showing up in the second and third episode, and he's going to be a series regular.
Is he actually dead?
Huh?
Is he actually dead?
Bob Newhart?
Yeah.
Yeah, his character is dead.
No,
Yeah.
I thought you meant Bob
No, he's
Newhart.
not an actual
You said because
ghost.
he's dead. You
In
said
the
Bob
show.
Newhart is dead.
I also
Listen
said-
back. That's what you said.
I also said he appears in a mirror.
Yeah, because he's dead. So
What
I
sense
thought
does that
I
make?
thought maybe because they only had limited clips, they decided to put him in a mirror.
Yeah, Jane Curtin also from Third Rock from the Sun is on this.
I knew you were gonna love that.
I felt so bad for her
I
because not only
did.
has she aged terribly,
She
but
hasn't aged terribly.
she's aged pretty
No,
bad.
she looks
has
pretty
not.
much the same.
That it's 90s quality TV versus 2014 quality TV.
To be fair, this isn't quality TV in any decade. I had this at 1 out of 5.
Wow.
Brian, everything was bad. There's not one redeeming factor to this aside from maybe if you're watching it just to laugh at how bad a show can be on a major network.
This is a solid
bad.
1 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sticking with 2?
Like I said, I wanted to give it a 2.25
Uh-huh.
because I thought like 4.5 would have been a good, solid number for it. So if you'll allow that, then it's a 2.25 thereabouts. I don't know. Like I said, I like the other librarians. I just couldn't stand the writing, the special effects, the really, really fake Stonehenge props.
It was a very 90s show, though.
Christ.
It was a show that should have been part of the 90s. It was almost...
Listen,
on ABC.
Over the last week, I've been watching an awful lot of Seventh Heaven. I will tell you this. Anything...
Wait.
Yes?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Any episode of that show would be far superior to any episode of this show. Give me the episode of Seventh Heaven where Eric's sister puts a beating on Simon. That is still so much better.
She grabs him and shakes him.
She gives him the old once over though.
I foiled your plans again, Catwoman. Now I will return this key to the Gotham City Gold Depository.
I don't think so, Batman.
Grab him, Ruthie. Grab him. Think again,
You underestimated us, Caped Crusader. Now I got you, Batman.
Yeah, gotcha.
Let go of the key or suffer the consequences.
Never.
Ruthie, I know Batman's one weakness.
What?
Tickling.
No!
Let go of the key and I'll stop.
Oh, I must say, Gotham
Better let go.
No!
Simon, I'm not. Give me that damn key.
Mommy! Mommy!
Hurting me. Shut up and give me the key to the liquor cabinet. Get your hands off of him. Don't you ever touch my children. Oh, God.
She wants her booze.
She wants her booze. But let me remind you.
By the way, we just heard the clip to that, so.
Let me remind you that when you started watching Seventh Heaven earlier last week, you were like, this is awful.
Oh, it's not good.
Why did this last for so long?
It's no good. There's no nuanced acting at all. It's still better than this, though. The writing is still far better than this.
Except if you go back and rewatch it, the fact that there was that whole scandal with the father having abused
oh yes,
yeah,
yeah.
It completely taints everything for you.
Stephen Collins, I
everything
believe his
is
name
tainted.
Oh,
everything he says.
There are some very uncomfortable quotes.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's one of the things I've not been looking forward to seeing that again, or any episodes of the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Before you go, just tell me one thing, Reverend. Do you think God will forgive me?
You better pray he does. I gotta tell you, I'm not sure I ever will.
pedophiles and rapists. Speaking of pedophiles and rapists, there are none on
There are some on one of my,
Are there?
things, yeah.
Oh, well.
Actually, wait. There's a pedophile on one.
Uh-huh.
There's rapists on the other. Sorry. Yeah, there's rapists on all of them.
Wow. Chris bringing the heat. It's time now for our best of 2014 countdown. Basically, the way this will work is, Mike has his list, Brian has his list.
You pointed to Brian for Chris.
I did. No,
Thanks.
no, I pointed for Chris. I pointed to you for Brian. I said Brian pointed to you. Just happened. You didn't remember
all
that.
right, let's just
Cut.
get this over with.
Mike has his list, Brian has his list, Chris has her list, and I have my list of our 3 favorite shows that debuted in 2014. We're going to count them down for you so you know what to watch over the break that you have coming up. Who wants to start?
I'll go first.
Brian, kick us off with your number 3.
Number 3 is Gotham.
Mm-hmm. My number 3 as well, so I'll double team.
All right. So, and
Ew.
is it Mike's? Yeah, it's Mike's. So we'll triple team this one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna, no, I've got something else.
Hop on,
Thank you.
Chris. We watched, it's actually one of the few new shows that debuted this fall season, so it's a fall 2014 show. You can watch the first 9 episodes if you have Hulu Plus. If you don't have regular Hulu, you can only watch the last 5, which kind of sucks. But or you can find them in another way.
I don't know you, Brian, but when I look out the window, all I see and all you see
Is
are
torrents
wonderful
of
shows.
rain.
No one will get that reference.
No.
I got it.
Chris got it.
Because that's where I watch all my shows.
AllISee.com.
Not all of them. I love Hulu.
Tell us about Gotham.
So it's an interesting take on the origin story of Gotham City and several other the inhabitants of it. The main protagonist is Commissioner James Gordon, and then of course you have the wonderful Detective Bullock. You have the beginnings of you have the crime syndicate. So you have Falcone, you have
Fish Mooney,
which is a new character for this show, and Marone.
Yep.
Maroni.
You also have probably my favorite villain of the show, Oswald Cobblepot. I mean, a very interesting interpretation, a much not necessarily much darker because he has been dark in previous incarnations, but a very fresh viewing of this character that really did need a bit of an updating because for the longest time he's just been the rich man who also commits crimes. Here you see his origin story, which is nice. And it's very interesting because at the same time you have this rat-like quality to him where he tries to avoid like confrontation, but he's also very threatening in a way. And he has the ability to turn on that level of, fear-inducing acting, which I think is great.
He switches to psychotic very well.
He's very good.
He's good.
Ben McKenzie, I should say, who plays James Gordon, is also very good at playing that likable detective who's in this just wasteland and who you want to rise above it all and actually bring about change. I really like his character too because one of the issues I had with State of Affairs, which I'm never going to talk about after this, is that Katherine Heigl was in no way likable. And I feel that you have to have characters that are at least likable. Even if they don't do good things, you have to at least like the characters.
Or like watching them.
Or
which
that.
I just...
Which Katherine Heigl had neither.
Nope.
Right. And then, it started slow and a lot of my problems that I had with it was these characters all survive. So kind of it ruins the threatening element of them potentially dying. So they're in a couple episodes where their life is in danger, but obviously Jim Gordon makes it well into old age. Bruce Wayne obviously makes it into, adulthood, as does Catwoman and everybody else on the show, except for a few other.
Damn it, why can't you kill the kids?
Well, I mean, it's not totally impossible, but they do decide to deviate from tradition.
Right, but I would say it'd be most...
But they're not going to kill Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, no, it'd be most beneficial to kind of stay in that and kind of continue that.
Yeah. Mike, anything to add on Gotham? Hi, Mike. You haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, I know. I have a voice.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, I liked Gotham. I thought I was gonna like it a lot more. I thought it was gonna be my number 1 show, but there was something missing. I don't know. I think it was it started off very slow. I believe it was just taking a little too long to kind of progress in the storyline and everything like that. But overall, I thought that it was pretty entertaining. I thought that what's his name? Commissioner Gordon.
Mhm.
They picked a good actor to play him.
Yep.
Great for his partner. I forgot the crooked.
Bullock.
Harvey Bullock. Yeah. Is it Harvey Bullock?
Harvey.
Yeah,
Yes.
Harvey Bullock. He's great. I loved him from Grounded for Life, and he had some cameos in a couple of other shows that he was really good in also. But in terms of the show, it's somewhat entertaining. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a lot better. I thought it was going to be my number one pick because of the fact that it's the beginnings of Batman, and I thought it was going to be a lot more interesting. But it was fairly entertaining,
and it's also a really interesting show, just visually.
Yeah, it's shot. It's amazing the way it was shot, also, and you could kind of tell like it does take place in. I mean, they do film in New York and stuff like that, but it's good because they put their own little twist to make it not so much like New York, like more like Gotham. Yeah, like the storyline, like I said, it takes a little time, but in the end, it's worth it, and it's just the mid-season finale anyway, so there's more to the first season. But I think there was like a twist, I believe it was in the 6th episode or something, that was actually pretty shocking. And then they kind of didn't play too much on that, but
still very good show.
That's why it's number 3. Yeah, it could have been number 1 if they just
they messed it up, man.
Yep.
Chris,
and I really like the how they show the relationship between Alfred and Bruce.
Yeah.
And how
I really don't like the guy who plays Alfred.
He's a gutter snipe.
Still too damn cockney.
Yeah, I thought he was a little too like just rude and stuff because you get to know Alfred only when he's older. You know, like the Michael
when he's mellowed out with age.
Oi.
Right, so you have to you forget that he's obviously a little younger in this, so he can move a little, and he actually shows off.
Sounds like he's always mad at a cricket match or something.
He's not been sleeping, and when he does, he has these nightmares. Now he's hurting himself, burning himself. He's cutting.
Is he getting professional help?
Oh, yeah, he's a psychiatrist. Oh, no, he won't have him. No psychiatrists. That's a rule.
You make the rules, don't you? You're his guardian.
Bruce's father gave me very firm orders, was him and his missus to die. Now I will raise the boy the way his father told me to raise him.
Which is how?
Trust him to choose his own course.
Bruce, how many times do I have to tell you to get off the bloody roof?
I say you've played Knife Face Tony before.
That's Australian.
Close enough. They're all come from the same motherland. Bunch of criminals.
So do we. Well, not us.
No, we don't.
Americans.
Whatever. Fuck them all. Chris, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Stalker, which aired or began this season on CBS. It's a police procedural about the victims of stalking and the detectives from the LAPD's threat assessment unit that investigate the crimes. So, I mean, I pretty much liked it from the first episode. I didn't think I was going to because, oh God, what is his name?
Dylan McDermott.
I was thinking of the David Duchovny for some reason.
Oh.
Dylan McDermott, which I kind of have a thing against him just from
everything he's ever done.
I think it was mostly Hostages. Right?
Hostages was terrible. I didn't like him at all, really, in American Horror Story either.
What about The Practice?
I liked it at the time. So yeah, I was kind of worried about that because I don't really like him. But I think the writing is really good on the show. I think they make very good decisions in terms of music. That might be weird.
You just like the sad sack ending.
Not just the sad covers at the end. I think they just do good music all the way through.
Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you every single day, every word you say, every game you play, every night you stay, I'll be watching you.
I think they really do build a good sense of suspense, and they keep creating stories week after week that are different, but still interesting. Mm-hmm. And it's, I mean, the whole idea that some people were saying that, you know, this is encouraging violence against women is bullshit.
Oh, I mean,
because lots of the stalking victims are men. Lots of the stalkers are women, you know. Some of them are non-violent stalkings.
That's akin to saying that showing somebody being shot in a movie is encouraging murders.
And it's just an actual fact that women are more often victims of stalking.
They are.
So obviously, a TV show of this kind is supposed to imitate life.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have something that's completely outlandish, like, you know, letters showing up from librarians and
or
writing themselves.
Or midriffs shown with women wearing tattoos around their arms. If I never talk about that show again, I'll be a very happy person.
That still sounds like the Pamela Anderson show.
VIP.
Because she has a tattoo on her.
I'm definitely splicing some VIP.
Thanks.
I think it's a good show. I've only seen a couple episodes whenever you have it on around the house, but it's not bad. I
like to play it simultaneously in multiple rooms.
Yeah, just in the attic ones.
Fuller effect.
Basement. I still don't really like Dylan McDermott's character on it. I still think he's the weak point of the show. I think Maggie Q is actually really good on it.
I don't know what you've seen up to.
I've seen like 3 or 4 episodes.
I only watched the first episode.
Okay, so you need to watch more because the whole storyline with him stalking, I don't know how much you know.
His wife, his ex-wife.
Yeah.
The mother of his kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shifts in terms of the fact that he's stalking. He kind of stops. But his character does shift, and his position in terms of the department itself kind of shifts. You definitely see him become more accepted. I don't know. I kind of like the way that the characters come together in terms of the department.
Okay, with team dynamic.
Yeah, and then the whole stalking story with Maggie Q's character.
Oh, that
gets really good.
He is that whole storyline where she's being stalked by somebody who she essentially stopped from stalking somebody else.
Yeah.
I thought that vein of story was actually really good.
You definitely learn a lot more about her backstory and, you know,
and her friend who used to be on Boston Legal.
She's nice. She's
good
still on it. She's really good. But yeah, I think all around it's a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the procedurals that I really do like to keep up with because I think it's very interesting week after week. And yeah.
Very good.
My third favorite.
Now let's go to number 2. We go back to Brian. We'll see if he won't pick my number 2.
No.
He's not going to pick mine either.
What do you got, Brian?
Silicon Valley.
Okay.
It's a comedy on...
is this somebody else's number 2, though? No? Okay. Mike was making a face.
Well, we purposely did not discuss the choices ahead of time for a little bit of a surprise. Silicon Valley is the...
That was a surprise.
Was to me.
A new comedy from Mike Judge. It essentially focuses on the couple guys that are trying to make it big in the world of tech, and they have a startup. And it's a really funny show. It's one of my favorite comedies for sure, and definitely a breakout hit for HBO this year. I don't know why you're not watching it. So.
I don't really care for it. I didn't care for the pilot. If I want a comedy from HBO, I watch Girls.
Nah, you can go ahead.
Okay. I actually didn't pick it, and now thinking about it, I forgot it was a new show this year. But I actually love that show. And surprising that Al doesn't watch it because it's mostly about tech.
I thought all the tech writing was fairly cliched.
Well, that's because Al doesn't.
He doesn't like
laugh.
comedies that came out in the last 5 years.
10.
Yato.
10. No, The Office.
Al
You
doesn't
like
like
Two
to laugh.
Broke Girls.
Yeah.
But you don't like
it's really funny. I mean, the pilot, like, I didn't really like the pilot either, but it's like half an hour, I think. So I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. And I saw the second and third episode, and then it started getting pretty funny. And then, I mean, it's Mike Judge, so it's, if you don't have that style, like, or you like that style of comedy, dark comedy, I guess it is.
Yeah, okay.
But man, it has one of the best comedic scenes ever. I believe it's in the finale. If not, it's the second to last episode. And it's like, It's really funny. I don't want to ruin it because you should definitely watch it, but I suggest for people to watch that also.
Yeah. If I want a show about technology, I actually enjoyed *Halt and Catch Fire* a lot more this year.
Which, when he said Silicon Valley, that's what I thought he was talking about.
Like comedy.
there was
before
nothing
he said it was a
comedic about
comedy, I was like, oh, that one.
*Halt and Catch Fire* was very close to a good top show. I watched that actually on Sunday night when it aired, not when it aired, because I don't like listening to into commercials, but
right.
I watched it
just after it's aired.
Yeah, 20 minutes in, 15 minutes in.
Mike, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Grace Point. So
nothing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I know that Chris and Brian were actually talking to us about a show called Broadchurch, which this is actually adapted.
Never
from.
shut up about a show called
it's
Broadchurch.
freaking awesome.
Which I had no idea what it was about. Like I didn't even bother looking it up. And
it's about religion.
So when we saw, it's a little, it's not too specific.
A little churchy.
Yeah. So they said it was going to be adapted, and what drew me into it, in all fairness, was Anna Gunn was going to be in it. She played Skylar White in Breaking Bad, and she was a phenomenal actress in it. And I wanted to see what she could do, because that's the only thing I know her from. So I wanted to see that and an episode of Seinfeld. But I wanted to know what she could do outside of Breaking Bad, because that's what she's known for. And she really does do a really good job in it. She's, in the middle of this investigation about a boy who is found dead on a beach in this town called Grace Point in what's supposed to be California, but it's a fictional town. And the way it's shot, you thought that Gotham was shot, beautifully. Grace Point it just looks like a movie, basically.
Yeah. There are a lot of nice camera shots, and it's interesting you picked 2 Fox shows. Come to think of it.
Yeah, well, I also don't have a DVR, and I have the Fox app on my Roku, so it was easy for me to catch up, at least if I could watch it like a couple of days after or something. But it's a great show. I don't want to say too much about it, but apparently the David Tennant, who plays Agent Carver, I believe his name was, in Grace Point, is actually the same character that he plays in Broadchurch. Different name, or?
I think it's different.
Okay, so it's different characters' names, but it's essentially the same
characters. Yeah,
same story.
But yeah, that's a.
I mean, we all watched the pilot. I really liked the pilot, but I just never got pulled in by it. Chris, you want to go now for your number 2?
Sure.
You want to hit the can?
No, thank you. My choice was actually a show that I ragged on when we watched the first episode. I thought it was really bad, and then for some reason I just kept with it, and I really ended up liking it. My choice was Bitten, which aired January 11th. It was a mid-season show on Sci-Fi.
Yeah,
it's a Canadian show that's based off of a book series called the Women of the Other World series by Kelly Armstrong. It's about a young woman who is a werewolf who lives in Toronto with her boyfriend at the time, I think, and is basically just trying to live a normal life, but she keeps getting pulled into her PAX drama, and they live in upstate New York, so it's a lot of back and forth between pack life and trying to have a normal life. She's also one of the only, I think she's the only female werewolf in existence, which makes it more dramatic because all the male wolves are like, want to own that bitch.
Like sniffing around her bum.
So, yeah. But,
Yes.
but it's got a supernatural element, and then it's definitely more dramatic in nature, and there's the love triangle, but at first I thought it was really stupid in terms of the storyline, and that you didn't have, I think if I remember correctly, the first episode I felt like you didn't have enough information. Like, there was all of this backstory that you needed to have that you just didn't, and I wasn't all that interested in finding out what it was. But once you start getting it, it is really good. And I feel like towards like episode 10, like towards the end, I think it was like 12 episodes, towards the end of the season, it just gets so like suspenseful, so violent, but so good that you're like, I need to see what happens. And it ended amazingly. So I'm really excited about it coming back. It is all up on Netflix. so you can catch the whole season.
Binge
it.
I thought it was I think I was like somewhere in the middle with it. I thought it was okay, but I actually planned to watch more of it and I just never did because
you should.
I didn't.
It gets so much better. Yeah. It's
a good choice.
Yeah.
Good number 2. Well done on number 2, Chris.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is a big smelly pile of Madam Secretary. That's right. I honestly just take everything I said about it last episode and just put it here because everything fits in right here. I think it's a wonderful show. I've stuck with it. Leone's great. Tim Daly is great. Their relationship is obviously fantastic. They do a very good job of positioning her as a likable person, which, as I said, very important. State of affairs. Take note.
And knowledgeable and not, she doesn't think that she knows everything. She's not an asshole.
And friendly and yet,
sorry.
Friendly and yet really relatable also. She doesn't as Chris said, she doesn't seem to stand above the people that work for her.
Yeah.
She
has
them.
a respect for the presidency, which, what's her face didn't
Katherine
have.
Heigl. No.
She did not.
She's gotta break that horse.
Yeah.
Gotta break her.
I don't know what that was.
They gotta break the wild horse to let him run with the wolves.
Dance.
You can tell I never worked on a farm before. Great show, Madam Secretary. It's on CBS Sunday nights. Check it out. I think they just recently aired their mid-season finale, as so many shows have, but it'll be coming back soon.
Don't get me started on fall finales.
Check it out.
I hate it.
Let's go to our number ones. Number 1 favorite show of 2014, debuted in 2014, I should say.
Yeah.
Brian, I think I know what yours is.
What is it?
Is it about a boy?
No, it didn't debut.
Yes, it did.
Did?
It did.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it
Bet
did.
me
I looked at the
$1,000.
list. I looked at the list right before this. About a Boy premiered in 2014.
Like, it was a mid-season replacement. It was like March.
Oh, it was? Well, I'm very disappointed too because I would have put it number 3. I thought it aired in
it started in fall.
In the fall.
No, it was mid-season.
It didn't because it was on the list.
It premiered after the Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, right around there.
Oh well, it's True
what's
Detective.
your number 1, Brian?
True Detective. By far the best show of 2014. It just had it. It was just, it transcended everything TV had been to that point in terms of storytelling. Talk about character depth and dialogue. That's
February
well.
22nd was About a Boy.
Oh, all right. You know what screwed me up was that they brought it back as a fall show so quickly. So, all right, that's my number 3. Strike the whole thing. Let's
Can't do it, Brian.
No.
Can't do it.
You're locked in.
So
I'm going to tell Minnie Driver on you.
Oh.
She's going to be pissed.
No more retweets for you.
I'm going to tweet her right now.
Tweet her right now.
Beep, boop, boop.
True
Robot.
Detective, fantastic show. Mm-hmm. Wonderful cast. I mean, it's almost not fair when you have a show that's that well written, able to cast the actors that they cast that or even just beyond, just better than, what they wrote, and they brought this character to life, and just a wonderful show.
Very good show. I never got into it. I watched like 6 episodes of it, but I just never thought it was always just a little too slow for me. But Mike, it's also your number 1?
It's also my number 1. What he said, it's by far the best show of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the second season is going to be as good because it's going to be completely different characters. It's going to be completely different actors. It's going to be a different story. I believe it takes place. Where is it going to take place? Well, anyway, it's going to take place somewhere else also. I believe there's going to be a female lead actress.
Yeah, I forget who it was. Check our Twitter feed,
right.
antenna_heads, and you'll find out.
But
Go
anyway,
back a couple of months.
So going back to the first season of True Detective, I know you guys didn't like it, but it was pretty slow. The first 3 episodes were very slow, but people kept talking about it like, oh, it's a good show, obviously the critics and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. All of a sudden, I believe it was the 4th episode that just completely turned everything around. And ever since then, it just kept getting better and better and better. And it was very well told, very well acted, written, everything like that. Shot even. They had some great shots, in that show too. When you really see, cause it took place in present day, let's say, and then it went back to a certain time. I believe it was like in the 90s or something like that.
93 around?
Yeah. So you get to see the difference in each character one of the characters didn't change so much, but one of them just did dramatically change dramatically, and then they go on to
And he said good acting, Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson.
And this is right after, he did more dramas instead of doing like the romantic comedies.
Dallas Buyers Club.
He's doing Dallas Buyers Club. He did The Lincoln Lawyer, more dramas. So, cause
you thought of Sahara.
Yeah, I was thinking of Sahara and Fool's Rush
You're
or
not
Gold
the only
or something.
one.
And but I really.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah. I really, really recommend this show for everybody. Even you guys, please.
How to Lose a Lunch in 90 Minutes. Watch that movie. You'll throw up.
Wasn't he in a movie with Jennifer Lopez?
Yes, The Wedding Planner.
Oh, that's.
But he was also in The Wolf of Wall Street, and although he was only in it for a little bit, he was really good in that too.
Oh, he was a Magic Mike.
Was he the one who he meets? Was he the old? He was like the older guy who he meets for lunch.
Right. Well, let's leave it at that because some people don't watch it.
That's all I really remembered. I watched it on a plane and I was like half asleep.
It's a good movie. But going back to True Detective, I definitely pinned that as my number one show for 2014.
Fair enough. Chris, your number one for 2014.
My number one was Outlander, which none of you guys have watched. I'm okay with that because I feel like if you guys watched it and ragged on it, I would have to cut you.
Oh.
Like it would have to happen.
I won't watch it then.
It was a summer premiere.
Way to deter me from watching it.
Yeah, please.
It premiered August 9th on Starz. It's a Starz original series based off of the book series by Diana Gabaldon, I want to say. I know I've heard her last name, and I feel really ashamed that I don't remember exactly how to pronounce it. But I have not read the series. I want to read the series. I have wanted to read the series. But when I found out the show was premiering, I have a tendency to not enjoy TV shows or movies as much if I read the book first, because the book always gives you more information and there's always so much more you get out of it that there's no way you could fit that in a TV show. So I like to savor and enjoy them both separately with the TV show coming first. That said, in terms of the story of the show, it's about a married war nurse, Claire Beecham, who she's English. She lives in England with her husband in 1945, and they basically, because they both had been in the war and they had been separated. She had been a nurse with one group, and he not like on different sides of the war. I just mean they were shipped out separately, and he had been a soldier. So, they finally, get back together after the war, and like, they kind of don't know how to be married to each other anymore because they've spent so many years apart. Mm-hmm. So they're like having their second honeymoon and like falling in love again. And they go to Scotland to learn about his,
No wonder you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go to Scotland to learn about his, ancestors. He had an ancestor who was like a colonel or a major or something. He was an English one, but he basically was stationed in Scotland, like keeping, the Scottish people in line.
Mm-hmm. Play them bagpipes.
Well, more like, squelch that rebellion.
Oh, yeah. Well, bagpipes help to do that.
So, I'm not going to go into how it happens, but Claire gets transported back in time to 1743.
Mm-hmm. And does she meet the colonel?
She does.
I can predict a plot line like you wouldn't believe.
He's an awful, awful, awful person.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
bad. Like
really,
torture bad.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to
stop saying that.
It really is. But I mean, the acting is absolutely superb. Mm-hmm. The writing is amazing. The locations, I mean, these are real locations. These are real rocks in real henges.
I've been to that rock.
There's a henge and it's real. It's real rocks.
Let me ask you, does she come back to present day and then go back and forth, or does she stay?
No. So what happens is she goes back in time
mm-hmm.
and she's stuck.
I see.
So she wants to get back and keeps trying to get back, but because of an encounter, right? She kind of gets pulled into this drama, and then the fact that she's a war nurse definitely comes into play because they think she's a healer, and basically they want to keep her to heal the soldiers and stuff. Anyway,
is she on the case, and are they chasing her through history?
We're on the case and we're chasing her through history. Chrono skimmer, engines hot, vile villains, evil plot. Our brave squadron leader will help us defeat her and bring back the loot to its rightful place in time. Tell me where in time it's Carmen Sandiego. Stop her crime and solve this mystery. Tell me where in time it's Carmen Sandiego. We're on the case and we're chasing her through history.
No.
No? Anybody?
Yes. I get the reference.
All right.
But no.
You just heard the song.
Well, thanks.
Where in time is Carmen Sandiego.
So there's elements of the Civil War that's brewing in Scotland. There's elements of her past, her future, I guess, in 1945. There's, of course, there's a love triangle because this is ultimately a romance.
It kind of reminds me of that 2-part miniseries that was on the CW.
No,
remember that one?
It's like sacrilege for you to even bring that up.
It does sound a little bit
Doesn't
like
it? Yeah.
But it's so, except there's no time travel in that. That's 2 stories running concurrently.
But
she doesn't go back in time.
But she can see the past.
I think she can hear it or whatever.
She is the past and the future.
But this is literally, she gets pulled into the past. It's time travel.
Right.
She gets pulled into the past. She's stuck there. She wants to go forward. Okay. It's just amazing acting all around. The story's fantastic. Locations are fantastic. I said the writing's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, really, it's got absolutely everything. If you, I'm looking at notes from Bitten, and I was like, I hated it in the first episode. I was like, no, I didn't. I mean, it's like the perfect balance of romance, action, violence, history, sex, and the supernatural. Like, it's a Starz show, so you don't have certain restrictions. Like, there's nudity, there's sex scenes, there's, lots of blood and violence. And if you like shows kind of like, well, I mean, it's not as much violence as Game of Thrones. Like, I'm not going to say that because that's not true. But if you're a fan of like Game of Thrones or other like period type shows, or you just like history, I think this would be a really good show for you to watch.
I would also suggest Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. Although the host wasn't as good as the host on Where in the World.
Yeah, no.
And in reality, the theme song wasn't as good.
I enjoyed Where in Time.
Because they had that thing at the end where they'd have to like run through.
Yeah, I loved that.
It was like a jungle gym they would run through and like press buttons.
No, come on. The whole thing was about geography.
No, the second one.
No, I know, but it was better that way.
I agree, because then they would run on the map.
Yeah,
and
they had to
the
put
markers
on the capital.
Yeah.
And if you like the quality of like British made shows like Downton, that sort of thing, like this is definitely that caliber of show.
Good choice, Chris. Clearly you love it. And
I love it
I
so
can't
much.
watch it or else you'll shank me.
Yeah.
You can watch it, you just can't defame it, or I will shank you.
Or have an opinion about it, jeez.
You can have an opinion, it just can't be a negative one.
Just better be mine.
Just better be good.
Yeah. My number one, is a show that I really love. I fell in love with it was during the mid-season, I think it was right around April it premiered. Fargo is my number one. I love this show. It was a 10-part miniseries. It was so well written. It was so well acted. I think it had some of the best character performances of the year. Martin Freeman, who played Lester Nygaard, really had this wonderful transformation from this, for lack of a better phrase, pathetic guy who's beholden to his wife and is so pigeonholed and what's the
henpecked.
Henpecked.
There you go.
There you go. Pigeonholed by that henpecking. All the birds. And his transformation into this conniving criminal is fantastic. At the same time, you have Billy Bob Thornton. I've always hated him, but this is like the one thing I really, really enjoyed him on. His character of Lorne Malvo is so wonderful because at the same time you don't know why you're afraid of him, but you're constantly like afraid of him, and whenever he's on screen something important is going to happen and somebody is going to die. Also, the female detective who was played by Alison Tomlin, she does a great job too. Her growth from just somebody who is really ignored in the police department and who actually gets overlooked for the position of chief, even though she was promised it by her successor before he died. I thought it was fantastic. All the acting is great, and at the same time, you really have wonderful writing, which invests you so much in all the characters and how they progress. It's a wonderful show. FX did a great job of picking the show. It's coming back for a second season, although it's going to do that whole American Horror Story thing where it's a different story in a different time. Some of the characters will actually be in the second season. Allison, the man who played, or the character of Allison's father, or the female detective's father, who you might remember was he was an injured police officer, and then he ran the coffee shop or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It'll focus on him in a case involving him as the lead detective. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait for it. It's a great show. You guys should all go and check it out. FX, Fargo, my number one.
Wonderful.
Yep. Before we go, a couple of things to plug. First and foremost, tune in next week, or download next week, or listen to next week.
Or Stitcher.
Stitcher next week. Tune in next week.
That's what I thought you were going for.
No, I'm just an idiot. SoundCloud next week.
Hear that cloud.
Shut up. Because next week we'll be presenting.
Shut up, I'm trying to make the same stupid joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Presenting the second half of our 2014 review. The worst shows of 2014. Same 3 countdown from us, but we will probably be a bit more fun because we won't be praising things as much as we did today.
And I think we'll do our last Flash episode for the fall.
Yeah, we'll be doing that
2014.
Too. It was the 9th episode. I said the 9th last week, although I was referring to the 7th. But 9th was the last one before the break.
Right, yeah.
Before we go, also, I'm going to give you guys a second to plug your shit. Let's start with Brian this time, because I always start with Chris.
Okay.
Brian, tell us what's popping over at b911b.com.
I'm putting more photos up.
Thank you. Chris, what's happening over at chrisconkers.com?
Well, the winner was chosen, or the winners were chosen. For
None of them were me.
None of them were you, or Mike.
Conspiracy.
Or Brian didn't enter, but
he didn't enter?
He didn't. But it's okay.
No, because I didn't want to.
I
didn't want to support your endeavors.
But Mary won a copy.
Oh.
And some other lovely people. So that was nice. And thank you to everyone who entered. And then just basically there've been some posts, some book reviews, some, the usual. The book reviews.
Some holiday picks.
There's some holiday picks. Oh, I've had some gift guides recently. And you can look forward to some beauty posts on, things for the holidays, like how to add some sparkle, because I'll like some sparkle.
I always suggest fire.
And how to keep your makeup from fading away throughout a long night.
Do you have a way to keep my beauty from fading away as I age?
Blood sacrifices.
Oil of Olay.
It's true though.
It works.
Raquel Welch.
Look at her.
She says that's all oil of Olay.
Huh? She's held up.
Yeah.
Brick house.
Yeah.
Raquel
okay.
Welch.
If
you're listening, Raquel, thanks for downloading.
Meow.
It's true.
She's listening. She doesn't mean she downloaded.
If you're listening from the grave, Raquel, thanks for downloading. Yeah. Chris?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
You've got it by now.
I got it.
How can people contact us? On Twitter or via email or go to our website?
Are you literally just
How can they do all of these things?
Well, they can tweet us at antenna_heads
and they
on Twitter. They can email us at browcast@gmail.com. They can leave comments on our posts on the website, browcast.com.
Yep.
Or they can use the forum, which no one uses, but they can because it's available.
That's true. If you want to see that one time I posted something in the forum, you can do it.
I did it a couple of times. I was like, yeah, let's get this popping. And it didn't work.
Next Twitter coming up.
You can listen to us at a bunch of different places. There's TuneIn, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes.
Of course.
Or on our website. And you can
Rate us and review
Yeah,
us
I
in
was
all
gonna
those
say-
places.
I was going to say you can comment, but I already said that. You can review us in all those places except our website.
And-
We don't have a reviewing.
Well, because if you're already
in
at the
place.
website, you know you can comment on
that's
a
full
post.
5
and
stars.
Be like,
It's just
awesome.
5 stars. 2 stars.
I love Christmas and romance novels. It's a reference again. No one will get.
Mike might get it.
Unless you go to chrisconkers.com.
Yeah, he gets it.
Go to chrisconkers.com. Get that reference.
So I want to say thank you to Al and Chris and Mike for.
And Kitty, she ran away somewhere.
Well, she's on here to get thanks now, is she?
Would you like to write her a note?
She's in the kitchen. She can hear. She hears what you're saying right now.
Yeah, she's kind of asleep. I have to cut all this shit out.
Check us out, and if you're bored for something or looking for something to stream, why not Antenna Heads?
Why not?
So for
That's the lamest plug. If you're bored
Come
and
on,
want to
guys.
hear something, why not us?
If you're sick of silence.
If you're sick of not being able to hear Taylor Swift on Spotify,
That's true.
you cannot listen to us on Spotify either.
If you've got a blank space in your listening schedule, put Antenna Heads in that.
Why
If you're
not
looking to
Antenna Heads?
shake off the boredom of a Tuesday afternoon,
If you already listened to 22 episodes of Antenna Heads,
keep listening to
you love
more.
TV and think it's a love story.
if you belong to me, that's the only other one I know.
I can't anymore.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
This episode is over.
Come on, Mike.
If you don't review us, you'll be mean. It's one of her songs.
We will shake you off.
All right.
Like that aunt shook off Simon when
Oh,
she
man.
wanted her alcohol.
Give me the key.
Come on, guys.
Give me the key. Brian.
7-7 reference.
Proud College Point alum.
That's right. David Gallagher.
Yeah.
PS29. Whoop.
He was obviously the worst on that show too.
Wow.
Abominable.
Bite
No, seriously?
your tongue.
No, like Simon was the worst character. Like Simon was like the owl.
Yeah. Al's
Oh.
the owl of the show. Sure.
That makes sense. So thank you for listening to episode 72 of Antenna Heads.